and exposed them to a pedophile named Joseph.
She says, well, all of us kids, we take off our clothes and then Joseph plays with us.
The play, which the little girl said took place in a messy basement, went way beyond dolls. She described explicit sexual acts.
So then, she said he stuck a wrench inside of her.
Upon hearing that her little girl may have been violated with a stick, the mother took her to the emergency room for a full examination. That's when the police were called.
The officers took the report at the hospital, and the detectives do a follow-up on the investigation.
When Detective Tom Cantu got the case, he immediately went to see the girl and her mother to ask what else they knew about this Joseph.
She was saying that he got on a bus several times, and he was described as either a black male with white spots or a male with discolored skin areas on his face.
The girl also told her mom that this spotted black man had blue eyes and that he would sometimes urinate on her and other children after Nancy served them milk and cookies. The detective brought Nancy Smith in for questioning.
Okay, Nancy. You have the right to remain silent.
I told her what the complaint was and the possible charges. Of course, she broke down. She said, I did nothing like that. I love the kids.
Do you have a bus aid on a bus with you?
Yes, I do. All the time. We are not allowed to run our buses without an aid. We are not allowed to pull away without one. That Friday, Sherry Hagerman was on my bus.
The detective noted the name of Sherry Hagerman, the bus aide, in his report, but didn't ask any more about her. Instead, he was more interested in finding Joseph.
They're talking about a guy here named Joseph. Who's Joseph?
I have no idea. There's nobody that works with me named Joseph.
I asked Nancy Smith, would you like to take a polygraph? Not a problem. She volunteered to take a polygraph.
But before that polygraph could be done, Detective Cantu was summoned to the mayor's office. Margie Grondin was there.
This woman screaming for justice, going to the mayor screaming for justice, the mayor screaming for someone to be arrested when the case was just barely begun.
Tempers were so hot that Cantu says he had to call in his supervisor, the chief of investigations, Sel Rivera, to back him up.
When I went upstairs, they were screaming at each other. A lot of profanity. So when I walked in, I told everybody to calm down.
Then the mayor kind of cooled his heels and let us do our investigation. But on the other hand, the mother kept on shooting off her mouth.
Then the accusing mom really turned up the heat. She took the case public.
One of their bus drivers drove them to a house where...
And now this stuff was publicized on TV and in the papers.
Margie Grondin, she organized like a meeting, of the parents involved.
All of a sudden, more children are coming forward saying they were molested by the same person.
Overnight, it was as if a sickening fear had blown in off Lake Erie. The parents of children of Nancy Smith's bus were panicked and calling the police with claims of their own.
It really mushroomed. It just mushroomed into a circus atmosphere.
Number one. And number two.
Released to a newspaper in 1997, the tape shows that Margie Grondin's daughter hesitated when asked to identify the man who abused her.
Look at each one, look at their faces, okay, one at a time.
For 8 long minutes, the girl stares at the men before her, reluctant to point out anyone.
Three step forward.
Until finally, her mother, Margie Grondin, literally takes matters into her own hands.
Yeah, number 2.
You want number 2 to step forward?
Mm-hmm.
The jury never saw that because the prosecution didn't show it, and the
discovery, and that may have just been overlooked.
But that was not the only revelation on that tape. This boy's mother, Emily Oliver, claimed she saw Joseph Allen near Nancy Smith's bus. At the lineup, she claimed Joseph Allen had grabbed her son, William, by the arm.
You recognize his voice and stuff? Yeah, I did.
But on the day of the lineup, William did not pick him out.
Hey, William, look at each one.
At trial, Emily Oliver testified that William was so afraid of Joseph Allen that he left the room in tears.
You can take your shirt off.
But the lineup tape shows that was clearly not the case. Had the jury seen this, Emily Oliver's credibility may well have been called into question.
I don't remember anything happening to me.
William Oliver is all grown up now and currently doing time in an Idaho prison for burglary.
Nope.
You never saw Joseph and Nancy together?
The only time I saw them even close was on a piece of paper with their pictures on it.
So in your world, this is fiction?
Yeah.
Williams says Emily Oliver had a lifelong struggle with prescription drug addiction. She died 2 years ago.
I think in retrospect it was Emily trying to cheat the system to maybe even to the extent of collect money for herself so she can support her habit.
And it turned out another mother who testified at trial also had a history with drugs, Margie Grondin herself. Court records show a few years before she accused Nancy Smith, Grondin had pleaded guilty to dealing cocaine out of her apartment. That was something Jack Bradley should have known about, since he briefly represented Margie's boyfriend and co-defendant in that case.
I never completed that case. A substitute attorney took over that case.
You don't remember her
No.
turning?
Soto wanted the jury to hear about the night he says Margie Grondin told him a secret.
Margie did come to my house, knock on my door. She did told me that in the beginning of the investigation that the little girl was saying no, that didn't happen. I said, Margie, if this is serious, she's changing her story. You need to speak up.
The prosecutor, however, objected, and the judge threw that testimony out.
He said, no, this is hearsay stuff. We don't want to hear this. As a matter of fact, I think I got kicked out of that bench so fast that it wasn't right.
So much Monday morning quarterbacking, regret, and recrimination. And yet, as it turned out, perhaps the most potent piece of evidence available to the defense lawyers had been literally hiding in plain sight all along.
Statements until the second day of trial, when the prosecutor realized that they contained all type of exculpatory information. I asked the judge to play the tapes to the jury because they would certainly realize once they heard those tapes that these children had been manipulated. That was denied.
Detective Tom Cantu, the first investigator on the case, says he suspected from day one that the children may have been manipulated.
When I went to the house to interview the victim, the child victim, the mother wouldn't let the child answer any question. The mother kept on answering for the child. Then when I would ask the child, is that right? The girl, I don't remember. I don't know.
Cantu says his doubts about the case only grew when he couldn't find any physical evidence to corroborate that child's story. None of the houses the kids pointed out as being the places where and though the kids claimed they were all abused together, Head Start records show they were never absent or late for school on the same days.
Nothing matched, nothing. Nancy Smith drove a bright yellow school bus, just like the ones you see out here. No one has seen a school bus parked anywhere in any of the neighborhoods in the city. That'd be like a sore thumb. You put a school bus in the middle of any neighborhood, people would have seen it.
In 20 years as a cop, Cantu says he'd never seen anything like it. He says he recommended the case be dropped and thought it had been, but because of a promotion which took him off the case, he says he didn't know that new detectives had been assigned. Cantu says those detectives never spoke to him about his findings, and he was never asked to testify at trial.
Angers me to this day that I was never called to testify being the initial investigator. I think I could have influenced the jury.
Did you call Jack Bradley and say, put me on the stand?
I just figured if they thought my investigation was that important, they would have called me.
I remember no officers coming to my house or coming to me and asking me what happened.
Hagerman is the bus aide who worked with Nancy on the day Margie Grondin first told police that Nancy had helped Joseph molest her daughter.
They lied about everything. She never done anything to any child. We never took these kids anywhere. They were on the bus and they took them to their homes or to the school.
Hagerman says what's jaw-dropping is that Nancy's attorney knew her story, but never called her to testify.
I was supposed to go testify on her behalf, and I never did. Why, I don't know.
Hagerman isn't the only bus aide who wanted to testify on Nancy's behalf. Sue Coates had also been her aide during the months that the kids claimed the abuse was taking place.
I begged Bradley every day, put me on the stand, please. I was her aide. I know how she behaved.
The Head Start case was assigned to Jonathan Rosenbaum, an assistant prosecutor with a reputation for being tough.
John Rosenbaum, he was a good man to have on your side when you're prosecuting the case, because he was like a pit bull, very aggressive.
Rosenbaum declined Dateline's request for an interview, but in emails, Rosenbaum says the case against Nancy Smith and Joseph Allen was strong, highlighted by the testimony of 5 children and their parents.
So the prosecutor would tell the jurors, just go back to the children. Listen to what the children say. That is where you determine this case.
Not commit this crime. I don't even know that man. I have never, ever seen that man before.
A short time later, Nancy Smith was sentenced to 30 to 90 years in prison.
45372. I've never seen this man.
Her co-defendant, Joseph Allen, got 5 consecutive life sentences.
And they took me straight to the county jail. Your kids are standing there. And I didn't know when I was ever going to see him again.
Was not sure how much longer she could hang on.
I had went to visit her, and it was actually one of the hardest ones. Almost like she couldn't take it anymore, you know.
It was during that prison visit in 2007 that Nancy Smith and her daughter Amber hatched an audacious plan to get her out.
Well, I know I wasn't going to give up, but I didn't know where it was going to take me. I asked her if it happened, and she basically says she doesn't remember it.
She say anything more convincing than I don't remember or I don't know?
She just said that she could give me her cell phone number and maybe talk outside of her job. Unfortunately, the next day when I called, her mother answered and kind of hung up the phone.
There may have been a reason for that. After the criminal trial, Margie Grondin and the parents of 3 other Head Start children won multi-million-dollar judgments against Head Start's operator. The case was later settled for an undisclosed amount. The parents involved have not responded to Dateline's request for an interview and are apparently bound by confidentiality provisions. One of their lawyers told us, "All that I or my clients can say to you about the case is that the case is settled."
Do you think that was the driving force behind this whole saga?
I think so.
Money.
Mm-hmm. I think that's why now nobody will tell the truth, because they were awarded the money.
With the odds of a dramatic confession
and it's clemency. So I made the phone calls for her. I downloaded the forms for her, and I gave her those forms. I said, this is what you have to do.
For months they met, mostly on Saturday mornings, to strategize. The chief and the daughter of a woman he'd helped put in jail. Then one day, Amber says the chief stopped returning phone calls.
There was about 3 months where I hadn't heard anything from him, and I had told one of our attorneys, Mark Gotze, the things that he was saying. Well, Mark Gotze calls to talk to him, and he basically denies everything that I had told Mark. Like, he had never said any of it. And out of the blue, I get another email from him to come and meet with him.
Amber says this time she wanted proof that the chief believed in her mother's innocence. So she brought along that tiny tape recorder the chief had taught her to use.
Some of that things that kids said to us, so.
And are you nervous?
I think I was the first couple times, but even when he was denying to my attorneys that he never said any of that, I still had trust in him.
It just wasn't a good case. We weren't even sure they were going to prosecute it at first.
Chief Rivera told Dateline that his department was not pressured to make an arrest. But to the lawyers working to get Nancy a new trial, Amber's secret recordings seem like a smoking gun.
And I think Amber's tapes are significant. I mean, this is the chief of police now admitting, essentially, that we knew this was not reliable and this was not a good case. Her testimony, what will eventually be, will show that they acted in bad faith and with political motivation.
And the political motivation being?
The parents were going and raising hell to the media.
It was only a matter of time before word of the Rivera recordings put the case back in the news, and Lorraine's chief of police in an awkward spot with the county.
I'm very, upset when I found out that she had taped me, because I genuinely was trying to help her. I have not had contact with her since then.
In the end, however, none of it mattered. In 2009, the case took a dramatic and unexpected turn when a new actor suddenly took center stage. And this time it was someone who would actually do something.
It wasn't that I had a hunch they were innocent. I knew it.
Viewed trial transcripts as well as medical records and pretrial interviews that were never presented in court.
If a child age 4 tells me that she's been vaginally assaulted with a stick, and for there to be no evidence of it, would indicate that the story, of course, is impossible. As I got into the pretrial interview tapes, it occurred to me that there were no victims other than the children that had been led to believe that they had been abused.
At the end of that process, the judge says he arrived at one inescapable conclusion.
It wasn't that I had a hunch they were innocent. I knew it. And once I reviewed the file and I knew it, I was going to acquit them. It's just that simple.
So Nancy Smith had yet another day.
Pursuant to Criminal Rule 29C, corpus sua sponte, the jury having been discharged, enter a judgment of acquittal on behalf of the defendants Smith and the defendant Allen. In this matter, as it ends, the defendants are each discharged and their bonds will be ordered released.
On behalf of the state, we object to the ruling of the court.
Thank you, Attorney Corey. The state of Ohio objections have been, we're in recess.
I told you it'll be all right.
I just didn't know at that point. I had been so disappointed by so much that, I always had hope that somebody would be able to help me or do something, but I just never realized that it would be my daughter.
You're out now. You could go back to jail. There are people, a number of people who still believe you are guilty. To you, was there, you could have gotten parole earlier had you said that you were guilty, had you made a confession to a parole board. You never wanted to do that, though.
No, I'm not guilty. I'm an innocent woman, and I'm not going to sit and tell somebody that I'm guilty to go home.
What is it like to be convicted of something and to not have people believe you?
It's horrible. It's horrible, especially when you know that you didn't do anything, and you have these people out there making their judgment. But I've had more positive since I've been home. And I just don't feel like there's like a whole lot of people that are against me, especially when when things start coming out and things start coming to light. You can see the wrong that was made toward me.
Was released because there was a flaw in how she was sentenced. Now the Ohio Supreme Court says the judge did not have the authority to grant that acquittal. This morning, Nancy Smith faced a judge in Elyria. News Channel 5's Paul Kiska is live in Elyria right now. Paul, bring us up to speed on how it goes.
All right, Leon, on a cold, frigid day here in Elyria, this is a hot topic in Lorain County and throughout the region today. Nancy Smith and Joseph Allen are going home instead of going back to prison. They leave court free, still free, and they can go home. Nancy Smith, that bus driver, had a lot of family and friends in the courtroom today here in Lorain County. The two were convicted, as you said, in 1994 of molesting 4- and 5-year-old children. Smith drove the kids on her Head Start bus, took them to Allen's Lorain home, and the children were molested. Both convicts were in prison until 2009 when a legal error put them back in the courtroom of Lorain County Judge James Burge, who decided they were wrongly convicted and set them free. A state court said the judge, he did not have the authority to free them, exceeded his rule, and ordered the judge to hold another hearing to send them back to prison today. But the judge didn't do that. Judge Burge said, stay free. Nancy Smith broke down after court.
It's horrible. It's the worst feeling that you could ever have. To think that people would think that of you. Until you've been in my shoes, nobody can understand. the pain that this has caused me and my family.
All right, again, Nancy Smith still free today. The bus driver breaking down after court emotionally saying it's, as she said, it's terrible to be wrongly accused. Joseph Allen was not in court. His attorney was. Now, the state Supreme Court is going to review this case, so it's not over yet. But again, for now, Smith and Allen.
Appears to have your signature on it, and it says, Nancy, did you sign this agreement? And before you signed this agreement, did you go over this agreement? Did you read it yourself?
Yes, I did.
And did your lawyer also go over it with you?
Yes, she did.
And did she answer any questions you might have had? Did she explain it to you? Did she do anything that you needed her to do so that you fully understood?
Yes, she did.
And were you satisfied at the completion of that? Did you fully understood this agreement?
Yes, I am.
The court has reviewed the sentencing agreement. And the court's made inquiry about counsel and of the defendant. The court is satisfied that counsel and the defendant have made this agreement. The court is in particular satisfied that the defendant has knowingly, voluntarily.
Back in your jurisdiction to determine how you wish to proceed on behalf of the state of Ohio and the citizens of Lorraine County, Prosecutor Thomas. What would you like to do?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the court for its guidance as I have attempted to navigate my way through these matters. I'd also like to thank and recognize defense counsel, Mark Gotze and Sharon Katz on behalf of Ms. Smith, and Ricky Parsons and Paula Brown on behalf of Mr. Allen, for their tireless work over many years advocating for their innocent clients. And to Ms. Smith and to Mr. Allen, I want to say that I apologize to you, especially for what was done to you and to your families as a result of this ill-conceived prosecution. On behalf of the state of Ohio, I wish nothing but the best for you and your loved ones, and I hope that in the future, only happiness and good fortune may follow you. Your Honor, I will be moving this honorable court to dismiss these matters. I am in possession of proposed judgment entries that have been signed by counsel.
Would you give it to Ms. Pena or Ms. Willing to bring it up for me? I'll take a look at it.